Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. And today I want to talk about a band that kind of, sort of, and by that I mean always defies characterization. And this is was, parentheses, not was, close parentheses, was not was. A funny band's name, but they were a really interesting band. And I was asked the other day, how would you define them? And I were to say, if Steely Dan were an 80s band with everything that entails, they would maybe sort of be was not was. There are a lot of interesting similarities. First, there's the name Steely Dan. For those of you who don't know, it means a dildo made out of a whale husk, a whale bone. I'm not sure if they found any at Diddy's house, but you'll have to go to TMZ for that. So that's the first thing. Lyrics that were very coded and very much something that you'd almost need to be on the in to fully understand. There were moments of lyrical ecumenicism, but much more there was sort of lyrical ultra acuity and specificity. The music was very much derived from Black Americana. So while Steely Dan were very influenced by jazz, and all of jazz's derivatives. There was obviously that in Was Not Was, but they were very influenced by funk, by soul, R&B, disco, and even early hip hop, traditional black genres. And of course, Steely Dan played with a lot of very famous Black American musicians, and Was Not Was featured two wonderful black vocalists whose professional music career long predated Was Not Was, and these were Sir Harry Bowens and Sweet Pea Atkinson. But like Steely Dan, the two principal songwriters were not black but Jewish, so many interesting similarities there. And obviously, this isn't to say that one copied the other. To my knowledge, I don't know if anyone from either band has spoken about the other band, and I don't think that they know each other. I think they're just these very interesting parallels. Their first full album came out in 1981, a year after the lost classic Steely Dan album. And this was just the self-titled album. It starts off with the great Out Come the Freaks and so many other good songs. Carry Me Back to Old Morocco, Where Did Your Heart Go? Go Now, another great one. And it really was classic Was Not Was. It was them introducing themselves to the world. And then the second album, Born to Laugh at Tornadoes, one of my favorites from there was Professor Night. Great song there. And in addition to the core lineup of the two Was brothers, they're not actual brothers, they were friends. And of course, Bones and Atkinson, there were so many musical guests who appeared on the second album, much like the format Steely Dan would use in its final years. You had Branford Marsalis, who was a real hot commodity in the jazz world then, the great Marshall Crenshaw, Ozzy Osbourne provided some vocals. So many, the list goes on. Um, David McMurray, great musician. Um, who else? I said Ozzy, Chris Blackwell. The list just goes on and on. Really, really good album. And they took a few years off until their next album, which was What Up Dog from '88. And that had what is probably their most famous single with Walk the Dinosaur. That for a band that was somewhat obscurish, that got quite a lot of play. And then a couple years later, in 1990, they did Are You Okay? Really interesting stuff. And then they took off almost 10 years, but then came back. And even though Sweet Pea Atkinson is sadly no more, in various forms or another, they're still around. Now, this was a band that proved that the 80s wasn't all about polished rock and polished pop. There were a lot of bands that managed to straddle the underground and the mainstream simultaneously. So if the Dead Kennedys were like a total underground 80s band, if the early hip hop, particularly on the West Coast, people like the Egyptian Lover, quite underground, there were opportunities still for bands like this to be very underground, but at the same time have some hits like Walk the Dinosaur, collaborate with major artists. I mean, Mel Torme they collaborated with, and Ozzy Osbourne, all on the same album. Very eclectic stuff. And it was a unique band at a unique moment that was both quintessentially 80s, but also very timeless, probably because of the influences in R&B and soul, which are very adaptable genres insofar as they can bend to certain trends in instrumentation, costumery, arrangements, but unlike other genres, generally stay true to their musical, harmonic, and virtuosic foundations. That's just my take. Really cool band. Most of their stuff now is online, so do check it out. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take care.